guys, welcome back for our third and final segment of the day at Takedown MMA. I'm Evan Herzog of the Fight Magazine, Albert Rosales of Grinders Fitness here with you. We're going to talk about a few things in this final segment. I wanted to start off by getting into this, what started out to be a silly rumor, but just like everything with Conor, it starts out as a little pebble, throws out there, and then next thing you know, it's happening. And so at this point, I kind of tend to believe whatever he's selling. You know, I buy it. The rumors, of course, GSP, McGregor, 165-pound title fight, which would be the creation of a new division. But now we know that these are sanctioned divisions. The UFC hasn't taken them on yet and put them into play because, quite frankly, I don't think they can. They'd spread out the divisions even thinner than some of these divisions are. But McGregor GSP, 165-pound champion, would be a super lightweight champion, maybe? I don't even know what it would be called, but do you think it's going to happen? Something like that. Maybe junior welterweight. Does it happen?
So first of all, let's address the weight class, the 165. So I've been saying this for years. We have a weight cutting problem in MMA. People aren't doing it correctly. There's a certain way that you need to do it, and a lot of these guys are very old school and they don't do it correctly. That's why we see guys pulling out last minute. That's why we see guys getting sent to the emergency room the day before the fight. There's a way that you're supposed to do it, and some of these guys just don't understand the science of cutting weight. So the 165-pound weight class, to me, I think MMA should take something from boxing and look at the number of weight classes they have to eliminate some of the weight cutting. So to me, 155 to 170, that's a huge weight class. That's a lot of weight going in between there. So to put something in the middle, to me, makes sense. The problem is, and I say it as we, because we're all meatheads, MMA fighters take advantage of it. So instead of the effect that we're looking for of people cutting less weight, instead what we're going to have is 185ers jumping down to 165, So either way, who knows if it works or not, but I've always said that I think more weight classes are better. Yes, it'll water it down, but I think, listen, man, there's enough fighters in the world that you can fill out weight classes. There's still guys who are really, really good fighters that deserve to be in the UFC who just haven't got their break yet, So I think you can fill out the weight classes. It's just going to take some time to build it up. Now, as far as GSP McGregor, I think that's a horrible, horrible matchup for McGregor. I think it's terrible. GSP at 165, I think, is way too much for McGregor. I think his wrestling alone is going to be... We already know that's McGregor's Achilles heel. Mm-hmm. We saw it with Mendez. We've seen it with a couple other guys.
It's not a 7 out of 10.
So we've seen that. I don't want to say he doesn't have good wrestling. It's just not up there with the best wrestling. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like even if you put a super fight and you had McGregor and Tyron Woodley fight, Woodley would smash McGregor. That's just too much wrestling, too much power, too much size. And I feel like GSP is the same way. Now, if you want to base it off of the last GSP we saw against Bisping, listen, that was a blown up, really muscular GSP. And to me, that was 70% of what a normal GSP looks like. So GSP at 165, I think, is murder. Like, that guy's going to be an animal.
And that was coming off of 4 years.
Correct.
4-year layoff.
So style-wise, I don't see the fight happening just because style-wise, that's an absolutely horrible matchup for McGregor. And we've already seen that the UFC is going to protect McGregor a little bit in terms of the people to match him up with. They're not going to give him these guys who've got excellent wrestling. That's why he hasn't fought Nurmagomedov. That's why, he hasn't fought... some of these other guys, even in the lower weight classes, Frankie Edgar, some of these guys, I think that's an intentional ploy by the UFC to keep him away from the kind of guys that really disrupt his game. So as far as the GSP McGregor fights, I just don't think it makes sense. I really don't.
All right, now I would. This is going to be a first, and anybody that knows me, I have never come, to kind of speak on the side of McGregor. But I will say this, because I don't really like what he's done to the sport overall. I will say this, that, again, like I spoke on earlier, I think he's very... When you see fighters that make it to the top echelon of the money game, and at the end of the day, this is prize fighting. When they get the most out of it, like Floyd, like Conor, you got to start at some point, at least I did, respecting their calculation of things.
Right.
And Conor has never called anybody out that he didn't think that he could beat and see holes in. Now, he's kept other people's names out of his mouth completely. But I think that's telling of what he's thought. And I agree with you that the UFC, I don't think they want GSP McGregor. But McGregor has actually spoken GSP's name. He's actually kind of pushing this idea, and we've seen in the past when Conor gets an idea and he starts rolling it, the UFC, especially at this point, they've lost a lot of their bargaining leverage with Conor. He's able to kind of get things done. And it makes me wonder what Conor sees in GSP, because like I said, if you look at who he's fought, you look at who he's specifically called out, he's very calculated. He sees something in their game that he's willing to take on, that he, because he has this belief that is pretty incredible in himself. But I don't know. So I think it's going to happen.
I kind of feel like McGregor's taking a page out of Floyd's book.
Sure.
Where you see that, hey, if I call this guy out, that's going to give me this kind of attention. This is a name that, right now has got a little bit of buzz. And I kind of feel like that's why he's doing it. I don't really feel like he really has the intention of fighting him. Or maybe he does. Maybe he saw some holes in what he saw with what GSP does. But I do believe that his confidence is well deserved, and I do believe that, maybe he does believe he can beat GSP. But right now I'm kind of leaning towards the side of he's taking a page from Floyd's book, and he's like, well, if I say this, it's going to get me this, it's going to keep my name out there, it's going to keep the buzz going, and I just don't see that matchup going well for him. And then as far as the UFC goes, you kind of feel the burn a little bit from Dana White when he talked about GSP, when he said, well, I kind of feel like GSP just wanted to make some money, get him another title, and then right off into the sunset. And I don't think he wants that to happen again. Like, if GSP were to beat McGregor in a 165 title and then all of a sudden GSP's retired again. Well, that kind of puts the UFC in a bind again,
Worry about either one of those leaving after that, right. Because now as much
so
as I don't
why does it make sense to give them a 165-pound title if neither one of them are going to fight again? Then you're
right.
kind of in a jam.
The only thing that would excite your fan base is the fact that, and I think again going back to the calculation of both, GSP's very calculated. I don't want to take any credit from him too. He waited around until somebody that was a little bit older got that belt,
right.
And that somebody that he had sparred with and taken down at will. Granted, it was
he would have never called out Robert Whittaker.
No. He waited and he was like, okay, Michael Bisping's the champ, and he defended once. All right, maybe I can get in there. This is the time to come back. He's calculated as well, so it's interesting. But I think that at the end of it all, the winner would make history. To be 3-division champion, either one of them, even though it would be a brand new weight class, they would be the inaugural champion of a weight class. There's some history. These guys are both about legacy at this point.
Absolutely. And they deserve it. They've both done everything, and they beat everybody put in front of them. So
one of them would have the chance to become a 3-weight division champ, and one of them would have the chance at winning a second belt and not defending either of them,
right.
Again, because Conor would not defend. But I think it goes back, what I wanted to say about the calculation again with Conor is he never fancied Tyron Woodley at 170. You don't think Conor wants that third belt?
Right.
He wants the third belt, and he's thinking, well, what makes sense at 165? Then he can say, well, he was the king of the 170-pound division forever, and look, I just beat him. Right. I got the 165-pound belt. I'm the champ. And I've never been stripped. You can just hear him,
right.
Although he's never defended. But I think it's, we ate up all of our 10 minutes on that. We were going to get into Tony and Khabib, but we might spend 2 segments on that next week as we get closer to that fight. But I think, as much as I'm not a fan of McGregor, here he is again, hasn't been in the octagon since November of 2016, and he still causes some excitement. And,
Well, it's well deserved. I
How exciting
am
the fight
a fan,
is, who knows?
I am a fan of McGregor. I'm just not a fan of him not defending his titles.
Right.
I like the way he does things. You know, like I like the way he fights. I like his style. I like his bravado. I like that kind of stuff about him. I would like to see him actually defend the title before moving on to another weight class. Defend your title, then you want to move up. Then go ahead and abandon that title, move up to another weight class, take that title, and to me, then you're the man. So.
Well, we'll see if that 165-pound division and title fight comes to fruition. Like I said, I think if it has Conor McGregor's stamp on it, it has a pretty good chance of happening.
It's going to make money.
And it's going to make money. And for all those reasons we discussed, there's a lot of legacy on the line for those two.
Yeah.
And, it just shows how crazy this rise for McGregor has been. Who would have thought that we'd be talking about a title fight with GSP when Conor was fighting in Boston 3-4 years ago on UFC on Fox, and credit to him, and hopefully he does get in there, whether it's against GSP or whether he fights the winner of Tony and Khabib, which is the fight that he needs to take and the fight that needs to happen. We'll see, but I look forward to seeing this next month. Super exciting. The beginning of April is going to be super exciting, and I can't wait to discuss all of it. That's going to do it for segment 3, Takedown MMA. Thanks for joining us on ibtv.us and Roku TV. Once again, I'm Evan Herzog with The Fight Magazine. My partner in crime, Albert Rosales of Grinders Fitness. We're out.